Hello everyone, welcome to High Playing Games. Simon here with a review for Beat Hazard 2, currently in early access. Thank you for the developer for sending me across a copy to take a look at. It was on my wish list anyway, so yay for that. I'm a huge sucker for any game that takes your own music collection and does something with it. Love Audio Surf, love the original Beat Hazard as well. I bought it on PC and on PS3, so I double dipped. And I was delighted to hear that Beat Hazard 2 was a thing. For those of you that have not played the original, it's a twin-stick shooter that takes your own music collection and then basically feeds out enemies for you to then shoot and kill for high-score challenge results. The beauty for Beat Hazard 2 though is that it's got a few little extra options, and for me it's like reimagining the original Beat Hazard onto a platform that lets you then grow and develop it in the future. So you'll suck in your own music collection from MP3s, usually is what I do, but the new things here for Beat Hazard 2 is that it can connect to streaming services and to Shoutcast Radio as well, and it's got something called an open mic, which means that if you plug in your mobile or something like that into it, or if you've just got a speaker and you're listening to music around you, it can pick it up and generate a song and a track for that for you. And I think that's really, really cool. I hadn't really thought of how to pull in other music services like that before, so I'm really impressed that Beat Hazard 2 has been able to do that. Fundamentally though, the game hasn't changed from Beat Hazard 1. The same enemies are still here, they look more polished. The big change here really in terms of new enemy types is the way how it does bosses. Bosses now come basically in different sizes and shapes depending on the type of music that you're playing, and it will have more bells and whistles for you to try and knock down as you go. Beat Hazard is divided into a couple of different areas, the types of weapons that you've got. So you've got your normal right analog stick to move around and shoot, but you'll also have missiles, a laser beam, and like a smart bomb that will go out, and you get a smart bomb basically when you die. When you start off at the very beginning of the game, none of that's really available to you though. You just literally have your right stick running around and shoot and run life. And the idea is that the score that you rack up then becomes points for you to level up your own player level. As you level up, you unlock more and more perks for you to then buy and upgrade and basically choose your loadout. I really like the strategic side to Beat Hazard because different people will prefer different play styles. Some people would prefer to try and hold off from shooting people as long as possible, so you can get a Survivor and Daredevil multiplier to build up your score, and then go nuts maybe with a laser beam or something like that. For those of us that are a bit less prowess with these types of games, I buy all the extra lives. But that of course gives me less perks to then play with for more weapons, so it's a big trade-off, and I really like that aspect of it. As you level up though, you'll then get a perk that enables you to buy more perks, so you can kind of twist and tailor your approach depending on how you go. For me, the one thing that is missing currently at the moment that was in the original one is a connection to Last.fm. I remember back in the late 2000s, before we went to 2010s, I would basically flip between the original Beat Hazard, Audio Surf and Trackmania, and that would be my evenings for several years. It was all I was playing because I'd be able to listen to my music, sing along and get my scrubbles from Last.fm, so I'd really like to see that re-implemented in the future. I don't know if Last.fm is quite such a thing these days, but I still love it and use it. The other thing that I'd really like to see now that this original platform is here, but I know it's in early access, is a better, wider variety of enemy types. All the enemies from Beat Hazard 1 have returned, and that's great, and they look better than ever. But regardless of the types of music that you play, you're still getting the same enemies appear in roughly the same patterns and quantities. So it's the music that keeps you interested in going rather than the outright game mechanics. The game mechanics are great, but just a little bit more variety in the types of enemies that you get would just make this game go from a good/great to a must-buy for everybody. Because as a twin-stick shooter, it's kind of on the good/great barrier because it plays and handles perfectly. I love the fact that when you've got a music selection and it's having a quiet period, all of your weapons also go quiet, and also the speed at which everything goes around reacts to it. It's really clever the way how it does that. So the immersion that you get from your music and the twin stick shooter element really works. As you'll be seeing and hearing throughout this review in the background, I have a very eclectic music collection, and I was playing lots and lots of different types of music just to kind of see how it works. And for me, I think the algorithm, it seems to pan out and like go extra nuts when you've got a really wide and dynamic track. So actually some of the most difficult things to go through are like piano concertos or like orchestral ba-das and stuff like that, as opposed to a rock track that is constantly full on all the way through. So bear in mind that you can go at this with any type of music, and that's great. I'll probably do some kind of heavily demonetized video to show that fully later on. The one thing that I did find is a slight bug that I'm sure will get fixed at a later date, and it's probably because I have a massive music collection, is that when it went to scan through my external hard drive to pick up all of the music and CDs that I bought over the years and then pull it in, every time it done it, it would crash. So what I'd have to do is then come out of the game and go back in. But it had actually saved all of the music and where it was from before. But it's like once it's done, it's like, I've had enough, crash. And then you need to go back in and play it again. It's a small little niggle, but I'm sure it'll get worked up in the future. But overall, Beat Hazard 2 is an absolute fantastic game to play. If you've not played the original, then this is a 2 thumbs up must buy. If you've got the original and you're still playing the original, this is kind of like a 1.5, because essentially it's exactly the same game but with streaming and this mic capability and slightly better graphics. But I envisage it as a starting platform for it only to get better and improve over time. And yeah, it's evoking early 20-year-old memories from me, and that can only be a good thing. So yeah, Beat Hazard out now on PC, still in early access, being heavily developed, lots of improvements coming in all the time. Go grab. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be doing a written review of this at a later date. I don't want to write about it whilst it's quite so early in early access at the moment, but I'll be playing around with it, and no doubt there'll be some more videos coming out shortly. Bye for now. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.